If today you have only $100 and you're wondering how far you can go with that amount, I understand that feeling. That's exactly how I started. The first time I funded a trading account, it wasn't thousands, it was just $100. What was in my head back then wasn't learning, it was a vision. Double it, triple it, and one day never have to work again. 6 days later, the account was at zero. Not because the market was too cruel, but because I entered trading with the wrong expectation from the very beginning. Years later, when I was able to live off trading, when my account was large enough that each trade no longer tightened my chest, I looked back and realized something. If today I were taken back to the starting line, still with $100, I would not do what I did back then. I would not treat it as capital. I would treat it as an entry ticket. Not a ticket to wealth, but a ticket into the reality of the market. A place where you don't learn how to win, but learn how not to destroy yourself. The first thing I would do would not be opening charts, but closing them. I'd turn off indicators, turn off analysis, turn off everything that makes me feel like I have to do something. Then I would write down one simple sentence. I'm not using these $100 to make money. I'm using them to learn how not to lose money. It sounds paradoxical, but that mindset is what kept me alive in the market. Many people start with $100 and set a target of $10, $20 a day, triple the account in a month, quit their job in a few months. I believed that once, and I paid for it. With $100, you are not an investor. You are someone training to survive. I don't need to trade many markets. I only need one, not to win, but to understand. For the first 10 days, I place no trades. I just observe. I observe how the market reacts, how it stays silent, how it deceives, like observing a person, not to control them, but to understand their temperament. Then, when I start trading, I trade as small as possible. Not because I'm afraid to lose, but because I want to see myself clearly when real money is on the table. For every trade, I write down 3 things: why I entered, if I was wrong, where I was wrong, and most importantly, did I keep my discipline? No praise needed, no validation required. I just need to not lie to myself. I don't set a goal to double the account, because with $100, the only real goal is not making money fast. The only goal is this: after 30 trades, I am still alive, not blown, not panicking, and fully aware of what I'm doing every time I press the button. I want to know when I start feeling euphoric, when my hand trembles from fear of being wrong, and when I hold a trade simply because I don't want to admit that I am wrong. $100 will not make you rich, but if used correctly, it gives you something far more valuable than money: discipline, proper reflexes, and a foundation strong enough to keep you from being eliminated when the numbers get bigger. From there, you can go much farther in a game where most people quit before they even understand where they went wrong. You don't need large capital to start. You need seriousness. And if you are truly serious, then $100 is the most reasonable starting point. If I had to start again today, still with only $100, I would not try to win immediately. I would step into trading as if entering an unfamiliar forest. No running, no rushing, just observing, listening, and remembering. I divide the journey into 3 phases, not based on time, but on my own level of clarity. Phase 1, observation. No trades. I open only one pair, a pair with high liquidity, clear movement, and behavior that's easy to observe. For example, Euro USD. I use the M15 time frame. I watch how price reacts at resistance areas, how candles leave wicks, how price breaks above, then snaps back quickly. I don't draw, I don't label, I only take notes. I learn to look at the market like someone watching a prey. no judgment, no forcing meaning. Each day, I write down when the crowd rushes in, when price stays still despite good news, and when a small move triggers a chain reaction. If I don't understand these things, I'm not qualified to place a trade. Phase 2, small trades. I begin trading, but with the smallest size possible. Not many, not frequent, a maximum of 2 trades per day. Every trade has a clear reason, a fixed stop loss, a predefined exit plan. I don't aim for big wins, I aim to execute the system correctly. After each trade, I don't look at the account balance. I open my notebook. I ask myself 3 questions. Did I enter because the market signaled or because I wanted action? Did I follow discipline? And how did I react when the trade went against me? I learned to accept losing trades as a mandatory part of the process. No frustration, no holding on, no revenge trading, because I understand this is tuition, and tuition is inevitable if you want to pursue this profession seriously. Phase 3, review. After 30 trades, I stop, not to check how much I made or lost, but to see who I am in this market. I review the entire process. Were there trades I entered because of FOMO? Trades I held too long because of hope? Trades that won but still left me greedy? These answers reveal my true psychology, and psychology matters more than any pattern. If after 30 trades I still maintain discipline, don't blow the account, and don't lose control after losses, I know I'm ready to move forward. At that point, $100 is no longer just $100, it has become a foundation. I don't increase position size. I scale the account slowly with real capital or external funding, because by then, I am no longer learning how to trade. I am learning how to survive.
It might be a funded account. It might be money coming from another job. But for me, when the size changes, the way I play does not. The mindset stays the same. No rushing, no dreaming, no overconfidence. Because I understood one thing very early. The ones who survive in this market are not the smartest, not the fastest, but those who stay alive long enough to understand what they are actually doing. And to survive long, you must start correctly from the very beginning. If right now you only have $100, don't underestimate it, because how you treat $100 today is exactly how you will treat $100,000 later. The market doesn't care whether you trade small or large, it only reflects your habits. If you are impatient with $100, you will panic with $100,000. And if you don't correct yourself, the market will replace you with someone else. Don't let $100 be burned by emotion. Let it become the starting point of a serious game. I understand very clearly the feeling of sitting in front of the chart with only $100 left in the account, holding on to a thin hope that a few winning trades will change your life. But I'll be direct. If you're still thinking that way, you're heading in the wrong direction. Trading is not a shortcut to wealth, and $100, if you treat it as a chance to get rich, you will almost certainly lose it. But if you treat it as an investment in mindset, discipline, and reflexes, you will survive. And in trading, survival is the only foundation of success. If I had to start again with $100, I would not trade immediately. I would observe. One market only, one approach only. I would record price behavior every day like someone studying a test subject. No judgment, no prediction, only writing down what actually happens. I don't trade to win, I trade to understand. When I begin placing trades, I set rules that cannot be broken. Enter only when conditions are met. Always have a stop loss. Never trade based on emotion. After each trade, I don't look at the balance, I look at myself. Was I calm? Did I follow the plan? Or was I trying to prove something? Because a good trader is not better than you in pips, but in the ability to control themselves in every small decision. I trade as if I'm managing a fund, not playing a small account. I build correct habits when the account is small, so when it grows, I don't have to rebuild my character. And there's a very practical point few people talk about. Choose a stable place to start. A broker is like the sword you hold. It doesn't make you win, but if it's dull, slow, or unreliable, you lose before you even strike. Personally, I prioritize places with fast execution, low costs, and minimal psychological pressure for beginners. If you're serious, starting with a demo account is fine. There's no need to rush into live trading, but start building the mindset today. If I had to do it all over again, with exactly $100, I would not open multiple markets, turn on countless indicators, or search for something called a holy grail. I would begin like an apprentice, absolute humility. A pen, a notebook. I would divide the first 30 days into small phases. No profit targets. The only goal is this: don't die. And begin to see how the market truly operates. In the first week, I don't trade, not a single position. I choose only one pair, Euro USD, and stay with it every day. 3 fixed sessions, before the European Open, at the start of the US session, and after major news has passed. I don't look for entries. I don't hunt for signals. I just sit there and watch the market breathe. When price revisits a level that was yesterday's high or low, how does it react? Does it snap aggressively, or does it hesitate? When news is released, does price explode, or does it stand still? When everyone expects one direction, does the market actually do it? I write everything by hand, not out of nostalgia, but because writing forces me to slow down and think. Each note isn't meant to remember today, but to build a deeper layer of perception for later. Every night I reread what I wrote. I don't need to understand everything. I just need to see a little clearer than yesterday. That's when I begin to realize this is not a gambling game. It has a rhythm, and I'm learning how to listen. In the second week, I start trading, but very lightly and with extreme discipline. I enter with the smallest size possible, not because I'm afraid to lose, but because I want to see whether I can maintain discipline once real money is involved. Before each trade, I must write, why am I entering? If I'm wrong, where do I stop? If I'm right, how do I exit? After each trade, I continue writing. Did I follow the plan? When price went against me, did I panic? Did I exit for a reason or because of emotion? I set very clear limits, a maximum of 2 trades per day. 2 wins, stop. 2 losses, especially stop. There is no one more trade to make it back, because I'm not learning to trade with a gambler's mindset. This week, I don't observe the market as much anymore. I observe myself. When I win, do I become arrogant? When I lose, do I become bitter? Am I trading because conditions are met or because my mood wants action? And for the first time, the satisfaction doesn't come from pips. It comes from the feeling that I am in control of myself. In the third week, the focus shifts. I no longer ask, what is the market doing? I ask, what am I doing to the market? At the end of each day, I sit down and review every trade from the previous 2 weeks. I start to see clear patterns in my own behavior. What type of setups pull me in most often? Do I enter when the market is about to go quiet, or when it's loud and chaotic? What do my winning trades have in common? What mistakes repeat in my losing trades? I don't deny bad habits. I face them directly. And I see one thing very clearly. I often click because I'm afraid of missing out, and that fear pushes me into trades before the market is truly ready. I write this in bold in my notebook. The fear of missing out is the fastest way to lose money. I also realize that I tend to exit winning trades too early, but hold losing trades far too long, and that is exactly why I blew accounts in the past. From here, I begin to reverse it. Cut losses faster, hold winners longer, but only while there is a reason, never on hope.
By this week, I'm no longer trading like someone trying their luck. I start trading as if I'm handling other people's money. Not because the account is bigger, but but because by now I can clearly see something more important than money: the nature of my own behavior. Bad reflexes have surfaced, moments of weakness have been named, and a system, not on the chart but in my mind, has begun to take shape. From here, I place myself in a different state. I trade as if I'm managing $10,000 for a fund, even though the number on the screen is still just 100. Every trade must have a reason. Every risk is capped at 1 to 2% per trade. Entries are taken at the right time on the right signal, following the same process. Win or lose, the attitude does not change. No, let's see what happens. No, this feels right. Not because I'm afraid to lose, but because I want to survive long enough to earn the right to keep playing. I no longer look at individual trades. I look at sequences: 10 trades, 20 trades, 30 trades, and I stop waiting for the market to reward me. I focus only on doing my part correctly because I've understood one thing. The market does not reward expectation. It rewards consistency. At the end of 30 days, I don't open the balance tab. I open my journal. I ask myself 3 simple questions. Am I still in the game? Am I still clear-minded? Did I keep discipline when no one was watching? If the answer is yes, then even if the account isn't large, I know I've won the most important battle, the one against myself. You can absolutely start with $100, and it may be the best investment of your life, but only if you use it to build mindset, not to chase quick rich dreams. Some people will say, "What can you even do with $100? The profit isn't worth it." That exact mindset has buried most retail traders, not because they were stupid, not because their strategy was wrong, but because they disrespected the small account phase. They treated it as a time to play around, and they burned the very place where they should have learned how to survive. Let me be blunt. If you can't control $100, you won't control $100,000. And if you truly want to go far, you must live and die by these 3 principles, starting while the account is still small. Principle 1. Growth doesn't come from big wins. It comes from small losses. Beginners always ask, how much can this trade make? Survivors ask, if I'm wrong, how much do I lose? You don't get rich because of one 100-pip winner. You get rich because you lose 20 times, each loss capped at 1%, and when you win, you take the full 3R. Professional traders don't try to win big. They try to lose lightly enough to stay in the game. And a small account, because it's fragile, forces you to learn this lesson earlier than 90% of other traders. Small, controlled losses, that is real capital, not the number on the screen. Principle 2. Don't increase lot size, increase the account. I've made this mistake. 5 wins in a row, I increased size. I thought I understood the market better, and almost every time, the trade I felt most confident about was the one that made me pay the highest price. After repeating this enough times, I realized never increase size because of emotion, only increase when the account is large enough to absorb risk. Meaning, if your account grows 10% from $100 to $110, you may slightly adjust size, but you keep the same 1 to 2% risk. Real growth doesn't come from betting harder. It comes from repeating a correct system at gradually larger scale while the trading rules remain the same. That's how funds operate, and that's what you should learn, even when you only have $100. Principle 3. A small account is not for proving yourself, it's for building long-term skill. Many beginners use small accounts to prove something, to prove they're not inferior, to prove they can flip their fate, to prove they deserve it. But the market doesn't care what you want to prove. It tests only one thing: how long can you last? A small account is where you train psychology, habits, and emotional endurance. Like special forces soldiers learning to hold their breath underwater, not to swim faster, but to avoid dying. If you trade a small account with discipline, clarity, and patience, you build internal strength. And when larger capital comes, you only scale size, you don't change your nature. I've seen too many people hold $100 and think they're above the market. They increase lot size, remove stop losses, forget discipline. The market never forgets. Winning is not success. Being able to control yourself while winning is the true sign of someone who will go far. If you're holding a $100 account, don't underestimate it. See it as the most important phase of your entire trading journey. Not because the amount is small, but how you treat this small amount will decide whether you're qualified to go far. I wish someone had once sat down, looked me straight in the eyes, and said these things on the very first day I deposited $100. I wish someone had warned me that sometimes an early winning trade is more dangerous than a string of losses. Because when you win too early, you start believing you're good. You believe you've figured out the market, and that illusion quietly pushes you into the next trade with a very subtle arrogance. No stop loss, no plan, only blind faith that this one has to work. I've been there, proud of catching a perfect top, only to collapse completely because I held the trade too long, driven by bottomless greed. And then I realized something very hard to accept. Trading doesn't teach you how to get rich. Trading teaches you how to be human. Because every loss doesn't just take your money, it exposes who you really are. It shows you how patient you are, how honest you are with yourself, and most importantly, whether you know how to stop when it's necessary. I also wish someone had told me this: don't use trading to support yourself before you're truly ready. Because when you place the burden of having to make money on every single trade, your decisions become distorted. Not because you're stupid, but because your psychology is compromised. Traders who survive don't trade to stay alive. They stay stable enough to earn the right to trade. Beginners are the opposite. They trade to escape poverty, and that is exactly what keeps poverty attached to them. I wish someone had put a hand on my shoulder and said, "You don't need to rush. You just need to do things right day by day. Not to prove anything, but to become a different version of yourself." And that's the last thing I want to tell you. If you're holding $100, don't disrespect it. Don't trade as if you're sprinting. Trade as if you're building a temple. One brick at a time. Each brick is a trade with a stop loss, a clear plan, a reason to enter, a reason to exit, and a decision made with clarity. If you can do that for 3 months, 6 months, you will no longer be a Forex player. You will become a real trader, someone who can live off the craft and still keep themselves intact in the storms of the market. If you're still listening to this point, you're probably not like most people. Most beginners quit after their first losing trade. Most viewers fast forward the video looking for an entry signal. You didn't. You're looking for something deeper, a real path. And if you ask me, is it really possible to live from trading? Yes, but not everyone reaches the destination. Not because the market is too hard, but because people usually quit before they've had the chance to mature. Trading is not for the impatient, not for those dreaming of changing their lives overnight. It's for those willing to shape themselves every day, in silence. You don't need to be better than anyone else. You only need to be more consistent than your old self. You don't need a complex strategy. You need a simple system and discipline strong enough to keep you from destroying yourself. The market doesn't care whether you have $100 or $1 million. It only responds to how you make decisions. And if you do it right, if you trade like a real trader, the market will give you something money can't buy: freedom.
Not financial freedom, but freedom of the mind. No more fear, no more blindness, no more feeling trapped in a gambling spiral. And if I could leave you with just one message, you holding $100, it would be this. Don't use trading to escape life. Use trading to understand yourself and rebuild your life from the inside. You don't have to achieve it today. You just need to begin. You can start with a demo account. Trade it as if it's live. Apply everything you've just heard. And if this video touched something inside you, leave a line below. It doesn't have to be clever, just honest.